In this video, I'm going to show how the virtual identity server from Optimal IDM can be used within SharePoint to provide authentication across multiple forests without ingesting the identity of the user logging into SharePoint into the SQL Server database that resides upon SharePoint. This is to meet the needs and requirements of certain government agencies. So let's first start by taking a look at the environment that I have. I'm using our browser here to take a look at the connections that I have. Using the virtual identity server, it is a .NET virtual directory that is connected to locally an Active Directory on this server, as well as an Atom instance on this server as well, signifying another forest. This can be an unlimited number of Active Directory forests. We have customers running upwards of 30, 100 forests within SharePoint, providing authentication across each of these. In this particular case, we can provide the authentication, one, seamlessly using your Windows credentials so that you are seamlessly logged into SharePoint the moment you access the SharePoint site, leveraging your Windows credentials. Alternatively, we could provide a forms-based authentication such as this, where SharePoint is configured to the virtual directory, and we provide authentication into SharePoint. Of course, the one key piece here is we're going to want to authenticate with the users residing in both Active Directory or Atom, signifying another Active Directory, with their regular user IDs. So I'm going to come here and take a look at a couple of these users. And notice we have a Bill Jones who lives in Active Directory, and if I come down here to the Active Directory connection, which is the connection directly to Active Directory, you can see this here. And that's the local Active Directory connection. If I look at this user here, they do reside in Active Directory. We're looking at it through the virtual directory. Again, the key piece here about the virtual directory is it's a one-to-one proxy. We're not storing any data within the virtual directory here. This is a complete proxy over to Active Directory or to Atom. We're not having to synchronize any of these accounts into a custom store. We are just accessing the Active Directory credentials right here, Bill Jones in Active Directory, through the virtual directory. So I'm going to log in as Bill Jones, and if we look at his SAM account name, it is Bill Jones. So I'm going to type AD/Bill Jones, which is his user ID. You could also just type Bill Jones if you wanted, and type in his password. Notice he is being authenticated. He was authenticated and now has access to SharePoint based on the rules that I have configured within SharePoint. Notice the welcome here. Welcome is 234 and another digits. This was used by pulling from, if we look at Bill Jones, this was his car license. Now, I just used this attribute within Active Directory to signify car license and just stored car license here. It didn't need to be car license. In fact, if I show you kind of the other capabilities we could do, we can pull data from and join data from like a SQL Server database. So I think in the real deployment of this, so looking at Cost Center here on Alicia, she's joined to this SQL Server database here based on the UID here matching up with SAM account name. So if I take a look at this, and that was a stale data there, but if I update this to 77, actually let's do 99, and we do a refresh on her record, notice the cost center is 99. So what I think ideally we would do in the deployment here is not use the car license on the attribute, although if you do have a unique attribute on the AD user, we can use that. But we could also join this so that we would have in a SQL table the SAM account name plus this unique GUID that we would create. One of the unique things we can do with our custom membership role provider that we're providing for SharePoint, and this is how we're doing what we're doing here. We have custom code that is shipped with our product that handles, and so it's a custom membership and role provider within SharePoint that provides this matchup that we're doing. So I'm configured that to tell SharePoint, here is who's logged in, and rather than the normal CN of Bill Jones, we're returning back to SharePoint this unique GUID. We could, in fact, not only create these users up front, we could do this on the fly. So our custom membership role provider could do the lookup and see that for the first time Bill logs in that he's not in the SQL database table. It could create that GUID at that moment in time in the database table, so it would be on the fly. No maintenance would need to be done up front to handle that GUID creation. We could also create that in the AD if desired. So very maintenance free. The GUID would likely be, I just have a digit here, but would be a Windows API call which creates a GUID, which is a globally unique identifier, guaranteed to be unique worldwide in a given server. So actually across any server. So let me show one other piece. I'm logged in to SharePoint as Bill Jones. Let me take a look, and if I access any of these different document libraries, actually let's first go to People and Groups. So People and Groups is where you would see anybody who's actually logged in, and you'll notice there's some other GUIDs out here that I've logged in with other people, but without looking just at the SharePoint database, there's no way for me to know who that identity is, 972A with a full GUID. We would have to match that up. But the agency would be able to figure this out by looking at the SQL table that would have the matchup between SAM account name and unique GUID. So from an audit perspective, this still could be arrived at to determine who was making the change. But the identity of the user would not be stored here like John Maring John Smith is. So let's go ahead and do that. If we take a look at all people, notice Bill Jones has not shown up here in the all people, all groups. So let's go over to marketing materials now. And let me go ahead and just delete this item here. So I'm going to delete that item, put it into the into the recycle bin. So what that does from a SharePoint perspective is it's going to track now in the SQL Server database of SharePoint that 23423 just made that change. So let's go to People and Groups and see what we see. And notice here we are. 234, that is quote unquote Bill Jones, but we can't tell just looking at SharePoint that that was Bill Jones who made that change, thus meeting the requirement of the identity of the user not being stored within SharePoint. So let's go ahead and take a look, and if we look, this is what we have on the information on the user. So this kind of proves out the use case of the virtual identity server, which is an extensible framework for you to be able to provide custom authentication. Some of the other things that we do within our custom membership role provider is also provide things such as digital certificate or CAC authentication, the common access card for the DoD. We have done that successful integration already, so that is something that could be leveraged by these different government groups as well if desired. So I hope this was an informative video and proves out the technology that we have for providing authentication across multiple forests. Actually, I did not show, but we can also log in. Let's go ahead and log in as a user in the IdM instance. So this would signify another forest or another directory of users. And let's go ahead and take a look at that user here. We have Chloe Williams. So let's go ahead and choose Sign Out here. Actually, we'll go ahead and open up a new browser. We'll choose Sign Out, and we'll do IdM, Chloe Williams, and do a login here. And there we go. We've now logged in with the GUID that was on car license on the user in IdM as well. So again, multi-forest, multi-domain solution for authenticating and authorizing into SharePoint without ingesting the identity of the user. I hope this was helpful. Any additional questions can be easily found by contacting us at sales@optimalidm.com. Again, that's email is sales@optimalidm.com.